what's happening, San Diego buyers? My name is Jesse Ibanez, and I'm the proud owner of a new breed of real estate consultants here in town called the Greenhouse Group. And, I get lots of buyer clients that either in conversations or over email or requesting on any of our many, website portals. They want to know what the bleep is going on, right? They want to know what's 2011 looking like? Where are we going? What's it going to mean to me? Should I stay put? Should I move? Should I rock and roll? Should I do a jig? You know what's the lay of the land? And the adage that's coming to mind right now is the overarching wisdom that the man who knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. However, if we can borrow from our past, and in this case our most immediate past, as a precursor to the direction in which we're flowing, I might take the liberty of taking a step back and overviewing 2010 in three different capacities. And the first capacity being what's happening in California real estate. Second capacity is being what's happening in San Diego real estate. And then the third capacity is what's happening in the foreclosure, short sale, bank-owned market, otherwise known as our distressed property market, which you and I both know is really the rudder as to what direction this market right now is always heading. So I've taken the time right now here today to do that research for you. Of course, in cursory, okay? Any conversation in this regard deserves the personal approach to be able to actually sit down with somebody, find out what's important to them, ask them the thought-provoking questions, craft a strategy specifically around what they're after, and then weave in all these facts to what's important to them to actually come up with a strategy. But since I just got you here and we don't know each other and we're using this medium, I'm going to do a buckshot overview of those three components and then offer you a little bit of my summary here. So here's my 2011 market forecast for buyers in San Diego County, okay? So real quickly, we're going to start off here with California. And if you could pan in on the country and then zoom in and just take a couple snapshots. One of the first things that popped off here at me is our state median price. Is anybody else shocked to see that? $296,000. Man, it was only a little while ago that number was at least double. But anyway, here's the part that's important about this, okay? I'm even going to read this because it demonstrates this point perfectly. The state median price said in November experienced its first year-over-year decline after 12 consecutive months of gains, with a 21% rise above the February 2009 trough of 245. The median price of California could be in the indication of beginning its stability in the market. Now, what that means to me is I'm not a stock guy, but read a couple books on the topic, and what I remember them talking about is you want to buy a stock when it's developed what's called a cup with handle, okay? So if you could imagine, the run-up of a stock price, right? And as it trails up, what's going to happen is it's going to get to a point, a critical point, where people are going to sell off and they're going to take their gains. So it's going to pop up, and then it's going to stop, and then it's going to go back down a little bit. And then once it reaches that point of consistency is when everybody fires back in, sees that a healthy stock, and fires back up again. Now, I'm not saying that's a perfect analogy, but that's kind of what I'm reading into that stat right there, okay? We were flying off the chain there in the black, everybody rocking and rolling, coming out of the horrible, the bowels, if you will, of the bottom of the market. And then we saw a little scaling back. And I think what that was, and what car pundits are agreeing with me, is that it was actually a sign of stability. So now let's take a peek and see what's going on in the San Diego market. So here's a peek in on our guys here in San Diego, and you see they got that spread out from the November of 08, and then the 2 years there, the 24-month trailing, and there's our 12 off, okay? But as I look here at this number 385, that number just excites me, because I'm thinking back on where San Diego median was, and then looking at that, I mean, that right there is on sale. You look at, like, for example, here's San Francisco, 553, right? I mean, that seems more reasonable. I mean, not reasonable, right? But it seems more in line with what you had the idea you had for San Francisco. Look, Santa Clara 589, Ventura 453. You know, you look at here at San Diego at 385. You got to ask yourself, man, is that not poised right there for a great time to buy and ride that baby back up to the level that some might argue it should be? All right, so let's strip it apart here a little bit, okay? So San Diego is largely San Diego, and they've broken it up there with a couple different communities, and they've demonstrated them respectively. But I just wanted to showcase, check out the guys here. Let's call these our bright spots, okay? These are our 5 communities that are kicking ass, okay? Double-digit returns from this part in last year. Encinitas being one of my favorite communities in all of San Diego County. God, I love that spot. And they're rocking. Look at that. They're back up there close to the 6.25 range, up 21% from last year. La Jolla, surprisingly, making a run back up into the 7-figure range. And Lakeside, anybody who knows San Diego and can appreciate the best of what East County has to offer, Lakeside is a really cool little spot. And I'm not surprised to see it boasting 21% gains annum. It's got what everybody wants in that you get nice single-family homes, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath type thing, 2-car garage, a stash of toys, and you're actually buying land, which is such a breath of fresh air from a lot of the high-density stuff that we have here closer in the city. So another winner down here is our namesake, San Diego, the city itself and all the communities therein, up in double-digit returns from this point last year. Really exciting. And then San Marcos sneaking in there as well. Great little thriving community up towards the north. So now that we've seen California and we've broken down an overview of San Diego, let's actually pull from the San Diego stats themselves and get dialed into our community we call home. All right, now what we got going on San Diego is a little curious. We actually, if you could look at an XY coordinate graph here, we've got the number of prices going down, but we've got the home prices going up. So they're intersecting themselves. And if you look at it, for example, here we go right here, the actual sold listings, the year over year, we're at almost an 8% decrease from this time last year. But then if you look down here at the actual the price sales, we're up almost 9%. Look, 355 to 385. Now, the interesting thing about that, and by the way, just as a little footnote here on top of that number, these were Novembers to Novembers. In San Diego, the total sold listings took a huge spike up in December, just the last month of 2010 alone, almost 26% spike in numbers. So we could read into that a little bit. Here's what I think's going on with that. You might recall this time last year, end of 2009, what was going on? It was the big tax breaks, right? This was right when they're about to roll out. They had just extended the $8,000 and they had revamped it. They sexed it up a little bit so it was actual cash, and everybody was a creative fervor, and people were just flying to get in and get those funds earmarked. And so we were already down in the troughs of prices. So as the frequency was taken off, everybody trying to get in, it was driving the price up. So the frequency was way outpacing the price. And then over the course of 2010, we had the federal tax rate eventually expired, and the California tax rate was spiking stuff in the first quarter, and we just kind of cruised in throughout the year with some undulations up and down. So the prices continued to roll up, but the frequency kind of peeled back a little bit. And I think that's what we saw largely in San Diego in the 2010 year. Now, let's talk about the 500-pound gorilla in the room. Let's pull into the conversation. Foreclosures, short sales, bank owns, and REOs, and let's see where we're going.